There's something that goes into your body. Quickly, open the mechanism in the room and let us out. Did you hear a voice coming out from your body? Don't worry, sir. I'll open it now. Quickly open it and let us out or you'll die. Miss Lei, hurry, wake up if you don't want to die. Do you want me to die? Follow me. I don't want to die yet. Miss, please let me go. I became part of Shaozhai because I was forced by bastard Yang Ming. Shut up, and wait there. Old man, I can heal you but you have to listen to me. Can you really cure my father? Calm down, I will not kill you. Right now we have the same enemy. I don't have any allies here. So I need your help, a master of stage forging bone, Duan Jiyu. What are you doing? Curing him. You say that you can cure him, so, can you tell me, what object was in my father's body? Demon insect. Cultivators in the demon kingdom usually sacrifice and refine this demon insects. Whether it is used for attacking or defense, demon insects are very important. Do you remember when I said that there is a foreign object inside the body of your father? At that time Yang Ming acted strangely and immediately trapped us. So, what you said is true. Now, I know why you're so easily fooled by him. I was just fooling him. Did you believed it? Otherwise will he just go away like that? The reason he immediately trapped us was because, I said, what is the real problem with your father? The reason your father can't move or speak is because of this insect that has entered your father's body. So I will use my demon to enter and pull out the demon's insect. Your demon? Can it really cure my father? Father, thank goodness, you can speak already. So this is the insect that caused father to be like this. I'll kill you, fucking creature. Stop. What are you doing? That's very dangerous. Let me take care of it. I said stop. I did not expect my trip here to be profitable. This worm is a snow silkworm. This creature is very hard to find, and it was born in an extremely cold area. And most people raised them as ordinary silkworm, like a low-level demon creature. In the Holy Land only a few people. This snow silkworm has extraordinary ability. After being parasitized by it, when the host dies, he will go to the next host. In other words, it can't be removed in any way. Just now Blood Baby uses a technique to remove the larvae, and made him think that the vitality of the host would run out. So he must immediately go out and find a new host. And the reason why Blood Baby can remove the larvae with its skill is, because he can't get nutrition and can't do anything. As a result, the snow silkworm get out from the host, and he became just an ordinary insect. But now it's in my hand. Let's go out quickly and bring your father. We'll go back to Fenglin City. I will refine this snow silkworm to be the most terrible thing in the world. There are around 300 or 400 peoples in this place and all of them have been killed. Everyone is dead. Oh yeah, I forgot about to tell you. Thank you so much for letting us escape that room, but you're no longer useful. Don't. You said don't. You should know, you have to eradicate the enemy until to the root. If we let him live, the news about us escaping will leak. Then, not just us that will be in danger, but also our friend who is in Fenglin City. Tinger is right. Butler Zhuo, thank you. I don't know if my choice to ally with him is the wrong thing or right. But there is one thing for sure. If you become an enemy of him, you will definitely die. 10 days later. Silly girl, how do they treat you here? Don't worry, miss. Everyone in Luo's family is good. Except for the butler named Zhuofan. Be careful, little girl, you shouldn't talk bad about others. Little girl, brother Zhuo likes to hit butts. If you dare to offend him, he will hit your ass. It's not true. Yun Shong, father, is the one next to you Yun Hai. God bless both Zhennan's children for being safe and healthy. Old grandfather, I don't know who you are. He is the master of the Black Winds Mountain, and also the leader of the bandits that attack Gyunzhuang. The incident that happened to Luo's household is my fault. You can kill this old man. Father, this is my debt to Luo's family. No one of you guys are permitted attack. The old man has been detained and poisoned by Yang Ming for a long time. He can't move or speak before, but now he's better. The tragedy that happened to Luo's family has nothing to do with him. Why didn't you say it before? Originally, this old man is not aware that he brought a spy to his household, which is the culprit for the Luo's tragedy. Miss, you can still blame and kill him. What kind of logic is that? You are also a victim. You can't be blamed. Me and Zhennan are friends, but he died because of me. I'm sorry for my foolishness and carelessness. Why father have not mentioned your name before? Luo Zhennan is from the famous family and I am from Mountain Bandit. How could your father speak about our friendships? Your father and I became brothers when we first met. After that I am afraid to ruin the reputation of the Luo family, so we keep this a secret. In addition, our Lei's family ancestor rule, we are not allowed to become enemy of the Luo and Cai family. My father once told me, whatever happens, we will live and die with Lei and Cai family. I already know the Cai family, so you old man must be from Lei family? Why father didn't tell me about it? Father said, this is a secret of men. Don't tell it to your family, let alone an outsider. Could it be the Lei and Cai family's ancestors' rule have been passed down for a long time? That's right, and it is passed down by the ancestors from generation to generation. But I have no kids to inherit it. Besides, how can I hurt Luo's family when this old man is friend with Luo Zhennan? Is your Lei's family have some martial arts? Ling Jielo level martial arts, because I have no child, so I handed it to Tinga. Unfortunately, the martial arts skill have been stolen by that bastard Yang Ming. They are looking for it. Stay here and wait for me to come back. Brother Ju, shut up. Uncle Ju is not here today. Quickly get away from here. I'm not here as a guest. I have something important to talk with Brother Ju. Step aside. Don't you think Uncle Ju will appreciate you because you're a 5th level practitioner? This is Qianlong's pavilion. Don't be too arrogant. Today Uncle Ju can't meet you. You have to go back. Little girl, do you know where I have been these past few days? Where did you go? Last time you took 2 women, you must be at the brothel. I think you guys are too relaxed in this current situation. To be honest, a few days ago I went to check the movement of Yuming Valley. They will come soon and attack the Qianlong pavilion. Don't blame me for not warning you. Bullshit. Can you know the existence of Yuming people? It was impossible. Tell your Uncle Ju that I will bring the Luo's family to hide. Do not involve us when you are destroyed by Yuming Valley. How dare you say that? I will curse you when you leave. Let him in. Yes, no need, I can go alone. What's good with this kid? Just because he is level 5 array master that Uncle Ju appreciate him. What information do you have today? Brother Zhua, but I will warn you today. If you say useless things, this old man will not forgive you. The masters of Yuming Valley will soon arrive, and they will attack. Is this information useless? If it's true, of course it's a big problem. Who is this? This pressure, master of fire magic. And this is the golden dragon body. The power of these two can't be seen, but it is not far from the stage of God vision. Shen Zhao Jing, one of the best in this land. I didn't expect that there is a person this strong in Qianlong Pavilion. You're the young man who Lao Ju praises a lot. Zhuo Fan, yes, I heard that you are a level 5 array master. Is it true? I am afraid even though it is true, it is just garbage in elders' eyes. Just relaxed, even if it's other array master that comes to our Qianlong Pavilion, they will be respected. If you join us, we will respect you more. Hey kid, Lao Ju said that you were crazy, because you wanted to make a small family to be the strongest among the 7 family within 10 years. By the time I heard it from Lao Ju, I directly said, this guy is crazy, others don't have this kind of courage, but when I see you now, why are you so humble? I've met Brother Ju a lot, so I've been accustomed to it. As for the 2 elders, it's our first time to meet. It turns out you can also be a good child. I always think that you are always crazy in front of everyone, but after meeting the 2 elder you behave properly. I can be crazy in front of Brother Ju, because I think you as my own brother. Brother Ju is also understanding person who can understand me very well, but if I meet a narrow-minded person, will I be only seeking death with him? It was not vanity but foolishness. This child is like what Lao Ju describe, know the people and praise them. Listening to what he said, it is okay for Lao Ju to feel embarrassed. As elder, I will also be embarrassed if I meet him for the first time. This kid, I love him. If I knew that you will be like this, I will welcome you at the gate of Qianlong Pavilion. It is impossible for the demon magic emperor like me to lose in this world. I will praise you guys now since you have not yet seen a god. Later I will give you guys a lesson and advice. Anyway, you just said that Yuming Valley will soon attack. How did you know? More than half a month ago, I found them in Sun's family, apart from Elder Jane. There are 2 people who have a stronger chi aura. It's just that I don't have time to monitor them again, because I have other affairs. It's still unclear what they are planning. The more they come then the better. No matter how much they come, I'll kill them one by one. Lao Ju, calm down, control your anger. Hey kid, how did you know this all information? The cat has a way of cat and rat has a way of rat. I have a way that I can't tell you. Brother San, we can trust the information Brother Zhua have. Previously that bastard Elder Jane came to Fenglin City to visit the CAI's family. Our scout doesn't know it, but Brother Zhua knows and he told me. Then I checked it myself and it turns out to be true. You really surprise us. Who is your master? The rulers of 9 underworlds. The ruler of 9 underworld? The name sounds domineering, but is there such a figure in this land? If this name is heard by a member of Holy Land, they will think this is linked to the demon magic emperor of 9 hell. But in this land no one knows this name. After all the people in this land, too far to hear the story of ancient emperor and other stories. Your master is certainly a great figure in this land. If not, how could he train a young man to be a 5th level array master? Anyway, brother Jew, do you have recovery pills? Is someone in Luo's family got hurt? 3rd level recovery pills? Thanks, brother. I'll go now. So, that's your goal here? This is just a trivial thing. If you interfere with our meetings again, I'll not let you go alive. I'll tell you another information. The Yuming Valley is expected to attack in 2 or 3 days. So, prepare yourself. This child is very clever. Every word he said is what people's thinking. Young but already had an extraordinary skill. I'm pretty sure that his master is one of the strongest in this mainland. In the future, Qianlong Pavilion must establish a good relationship with him. Old man, take this pill. This will help you recover your strength quickly. It's a 3rd level recovery pill. This 3rd level recovery pill is over 110,000 spiritual stones. Our income as a bandit of the mountain in a year doesn't even reach thousands of spiritual stones. And now Luo's family is giving it to us casually. Is Luo family very rich? Sister Yuting, just relaxed. Qianlong Pavilion owes us 10 million. So, don't worry, take the pill as a gift. Qianlong Pavilion owes them so much. No wonder they protecting Luo's family. Wait, do they have a lot of treasure in their place in Gyunzhuang? How can they become so rich? Haven't they been robbed by us? All women are the same, even if I compare them they still the same. Yu Ming. Greetings, 8th Elder. You've been hiding on Black Wind's Mountain for 10 years. You do a good job. This is just a small mission. You can hand it to the little girl. There is a little problem but I've resolved it now. This Dark Moon project has been arranged by families for more than 10 years. If your mistake ruined the family plan, I will make you feel something more than death. Continue your work now, and the operation will start 3 days later. Don't let anyone from Luo's family survive, especially Zhuo Fan. Although Qianlong Pavilion didn't kill him directly, it is still because of them that cause your juniors to die. People who killed my Yuming Valley disciple, they can't live in this world. Yes, sir. Zhuo Fan was sitting cross-legged on his bed when he opened his eyes. He was but a step away from entering the 5th layer of qi condensation. But his lack of yuan qi blocked his advance. If he had known, he would have spent more time on Blackwind Mountain to absorb more people's yuan qi. But since he was pressed for time, he only let Blood Infant do the killing, wasting good materials in the process. With the battle knocking at his door, he refrained from letting Blood Infant roam. It would be a huge loss for it to die if Elder Jian bumped into Blood Infant. Zhuo Fan muttered, I can only hold it in. It will not be long before they attack. Yet, his last word was followed by a terrifying power looming ever closer towards his direction. He ran out of the house and jumped onto the roof to see a man was already there, floating in the sky. Long Ju. They are all masters at Tian Shen stage. 2 other elders will definitely prepare an ambush. Elder Jane cannot escape anymore in the end. Qianlong's pavilion has been determined to fight the Yuming Valley, regardless of the outcome. With this, there will be no room reconciliation for both parties, and Luo family will be completely safe. Zhuo Fan, what's going on? Luo Yunchang with Lei Yuting and the rest came outside. He yelled, what are you guys doing? Get back quickly, it is dangerous here. Their little power was nothing to a profound heaven expert. Unlike Zhuo Fan, who relied on the 9 heavens coiling dragon array, Luo Yunchang knew the gravity of the situation from Zhuo Fan's tense face. She took her brother and the others to hide in the house while also saying, Zhuo Fan, be careful. A sudden cawing echoed in their ears and a black cloud floated above Veiled Dragon Pavilion. With a laugh, a black-robed old man walked out of the cloud. The few strands of hair on his head drifted in the wind as his evil eyes narrowed on Long Ju. Xiaoying Jane Fan, how dare you? Do you really want to make trouble in my place? Long Ju, someone from your Qianlong Pavilion has killed a disciple from Yuming Valley. Can't I ask for justice? Do you forget who set up a trap for me in Luoye City? Are you Yuming people know the meaning of justice? And also who destroyed my golden purple lightning eyes? His bone-deep hatred seeped into every word he uttered. Golden purple lightning eyes? It is said that the golden purple lightning eye is the eye of the emperor, who is one of the 3 strongest emperors in ancient times. It is said that one glance from the golden purple lightning eye they will die. I didn't expect that such precious treasure will be discovered by a cultivator of that stage. If it's destroyed or stolen by scheming, this grudge is more serious than killing their parents or stealing the wife of others. No wonder Long Ju hated him for a long time. Interesting. If the eye of the god there, I'll take the opportunity to steal it or put it in my plan. Are you stupid? Whose fault is it? At first you were one of the best in Qianlong Pavilion with your golden purple lightning eye. Now you are nothing and have fallen. As one of the 9 elders, you should stay in that position. Long Ju's energy blew with his rage and even his eye was on the verge of bleeding. I will have my revenge. Long Ju charged as a golden dragon coiled around his hand. Mid-spirit ranked martial art, soaring dragon claw. Jian Fan sneered and simply waved his hand. A black mist formed chains as it left his sleeve, binding the golden dragon. With a twist of his hand, the golden dragon wailed and shattered to pieces. Mid-spirit ranked martial art, hell chains. A palm appeared before him and a claw grabbed his wrist. Veiled Dragon Claw. Jian Fan was unable to escape the vice, but he wasn't too worried as he laughed. You think attack like this can kill me? This not meant to kill you but for this. Grinning, Long Ju threw Jian Fan to the ground. The blonde and the red-haired elders jumped from nearby to attack him. Jian Fan started panicking. It seems Long Ju is very seriously want to kill me, so they want to ambush me. Now kill him. The black cloud revealed 2 men in black as they converged on Long Ju. As long as I can kill Jane, I will not die in vain. Long Ju grinned as a golden light shined on his palm and a dragon-shaped sword appeared. A golden light passed just an inch from them as a thunderclap followed behind it. The light split the sky in half and only after 10 breaths did it recover. 3rd level spirit treasure, Dragon Sword. Brother San, Brother Wu, make sure to kill Jane. Brother Ju, just watch, I'll definitely kill him. The blonde elder laughed as he attacked. Despite not using a martial art, ear-piercing sounds were heard as his hand moved. Boom. But then a purple light exploded. It not only blocked the attack but even forced the blonde elder to cough blood. When the smoke scattered, it revealed a panting Jian Fan. But this time, he was no longer afraid and even grew rampant, having escaped death. Didn't think Veiled Dragon Pavilion would send 5th and 3rd elders after me. Devastating Gold Dragon and World-Burning Fire Dragon, your reputation precedes you. The 2 elders were staring, not at Jian Fan, but at the thing on his shoulder. Soul-devouring crow. Zhuo Fan frowned. I didn't expect Elder Jane to have a demon crow. Demon crows can devour everything and give attribute to themselves. Therefore the power of this demon crow rests entirely on its owner. This is clearly very strong, but it's a pity this demon beast is in the hands of Jane, better to be used by an emperor. Zhuo Fan's eyebrows shook as he looked into the crow's eyes. The golden purple lightning eye? That must have been the golden purple lightning eye that Longjie had, apparently not destroyed, and was in this crow. This is funny, God bless me. So, isn't this getting more interesting? That's the golden purple lightning eye? Isn't it destroyed? This is impossible. With just a look, Long Ju saw through the secret of Crow's eye. He used to move unhindered thanks to that same eye and even earned the name God Eye Long Ju. Long Ju, you didn't expect it, right? Your famous golden purple lightning eye on this mainland, my demon crow have it. Today if you want to kill me, you have to beat this eye of the god. Then he began making hand signs. The crow flew and purple light glinted in its golden eye, rumbling as it charged at Long Ju. Brother Ju, be careful. The blonde elder woke Long Ju out of his stupor in time to defend with his dragon sword. Long Ju was struck down by one purple lightning after another and was blown away coughing blood. The 2 elders rushed to Jian Fan in panic. They knew that as long as Jian Fan stopped his hands, the crow would stop moving. But how could Jian Fan not see such an obvious flaw? Sneering, he gestured again and caused 2 explosions. The purple lightning struck the 2 elders. They bore the brunt as it sent them flying and blood leaked from their mouths. This is bad. The golden purple lightning eye is too strong. Its power can even beat 3 master of Tian Shen stage at once. Zhuo Fan was shocked by how vicious the purple lightning gold eye was. As matters stood, Veiled Dragon Pavilion would lose, and the Luo clan would be next. No, I cannot let that happen. Squinting, Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth and pointed, sending a red light at Jian Fan. He was taking a huge gamble. If Blood Infant was found out, it would die in a blink from the purple lighting, and him along with it. Let's bet on this. Zhuo Fan hardened his heart and sent the Blood Infant on the offensive. Even if fighting the 3 of you at once, I'm not afraid. The crow flew back to Jian Fan's shoulder as he cackled. The 2 men in black flew to either side of Jian Fan and grinned. The 3 Veiled Dragon Pavilion elders' faces darkened. The enemy looked down on them despite acting together. This was the first time this ever happened. If they lost here today, Veiled Dragon Pavilion's reputation would be thrown into the mud, all thanks to them. The blonde elder's eyes flashed golden and exploded with killing intent. Once the devastating gold dragon was enraged, he would split the earth and shatter the heavens. During the time when Long Ju had his eye, there were 3 people in Veiled Dragon Pavilion he couldn't beat. First and second elder were the first 2, while the last was the enraged third elder. While shocked, the red-haired elder saw the determination in his eyes and nodded, as did Long Ju. As they were all elders of Veiled Dragon Pavilion, they knew the blonde old man's true power. A dazzling golden light shined and started covering him with a thick film, like a golden armor. Each time his finger moved, it let out a metallic sound. The blonde elder formed claws with his hands, all the while radiating in gold and staring at Jian Fan with a cold gaze. Then he rushed at Jian Fan. In his charge, the elder brought his hands together, just like scissors. High spirit ranked martial art, devouring dragon claw. Startled, Jian Fan hastened his hand gestures to control the crow's purple lightning gold eye. Boom! And a purple light flashed, but this time, when the lightning fell on the dragon, it bounced off like a bullet, not even able to slow it down. Jian Fan panicked, unable to believe that the blonde elder would be so strong that he could deflect purple lightning gold eye's attack. But he did notice how the dragon's golden aura dimmed. Hell chains! Jian Fan and his 2 men moved together. Tens of black chains flew from their arms and fell on the dragon like a dark cloud. The chains tightened and the dragon body was rendered motionless under their vice, yet the dragon still lingered, wanting to press on the attack. You are the strongest third elder in Qianlong's pavilion. The 3 of us must work together to fight you. Even if there is no golden purple lightning eye to help me. The third elder gnashed his teeth, his lips curling in disdain. You think the 3 of you could have held me if not for the purple lightning gold eye? Jian Fan snickered. Now that third elder reminded him, he used the hand that held the black chains to make hand signs. Brother San. Long Ju and the red-haired elder were nervous, rushing to help despite not making it in time. Seeing third elder's fate sealed under the purple lightning, Jian Fan grinned. It was at this moment when Zhuo Fan, who was just 100 feet away, showed a mystifying smile. This battle, I will not let Qianlong Pavilion lose. The blood infant lying in wait just around the corner sprung up from its hiding place, aiming for Jian Fan. With Jian Fan and his 2 men focused on third elder, they were oblivious to the impending danger. Jian Fan cackled as the crow's eye spilled purple lightning. But then a sudden flash of red entered his body and felt his breath hampered, dispelling the black chains from his hand. Elder Jane, what are you doing? His 2 men jumped in fright. Jian Fan found something burrowing in his body and wanted to expel it, but it was too late. Third elder pressed his advantage and exploded with power. Roar! The dragon burst out of the chains and bit down. The 2 men's eyes squinted as they fled. But the pitiful elder Jian was rooted in place thanks to Blood Infant's control. The next instant, an arm flew way up high. Third elder grabbed it and stood with pride as he laughed at the one-armed Jian Fan and his men. Jian Fan clenched his teeth as his heart bled with grief. Thinking how a veteran demonic cultivator as himself was hampered by a demonic creature left a bad taste in his mouth. Would he get any respect from others now? What was even worse was that this was done by righteous cultivators. Retreat. Jian Fan knew he lost the advantage and there was nothing to gain from fighting a losing battle. Yet Long Ju wasn't one to let them go. Third elder's feelings were mutual and shouted while pursuing them. The blood infant returned inside Zhuo Fan without anyone's knowledge. He smiled. This hatred, let them solve it themselves after all. They have deep grudge to each other. Zhuo Fan justified his actions. The eye of God, I want it so much. Zhuo Fan rubbed his chin as his eyes roamed around. Few things caught the demonic emperor's eye, and the celestial emperor's purple lightning gold eye happened to be one of them. Finished warming up now, let's welcome the VIP's guests who will come. A group of men in black charged into Veiled Dragon Pavilion. They were all bone tempering experts. However, Veiled Dragon Pavilion had a contingency in place and Long Jie led his own team to repel the enemies. Yuming Valley. We're waiting for you to come. You'll receive the consequence for going against our Qianlong Pavilion. Kill them all. Who are you? Mere moments after the 2 sides clashed, Long Kuei came out to meet them with her own team from the small courtyard. What? Something is wrong. It's an ambush. Quickly retreat. Don't let them escape. Capture them. Zhuo Fan was calm, having known Hell Valley's plan. He was waiting for the true mastermind to come out. The pride of Yuming Valley is too high. They even use Lei's family to destroy the Luo family. Still, I don't know why did they do that. The little courtyard's door was kicked open and Yang Ming and his bandit gang stormed the premises. Give Hui Longjong or Luo family peoples will die. All of you stop there. A breeze passed, followed by Zhuofan landing from the roof and barring their path. People, the way is closed off. Please go back, for your own sake. The bandits stopped in shock. Yang Ming stepped from among them and snickered. Are you from the Luo clan? Zhuofan nodded. I am Luo clan's steward, Zhuofan. Zhuofan? Yang Ming exposed a savage grin. Here I was wondering where to look for you and yet you were kind enough to jump right in my path. Quickly kill him. Take his head and get a rewards, Yang Ming shouted to the bandits around him. Zhuofan sneered inside. What could second-layer qi condensation cultivators possibly do? In but a breath, Zhuofan's hand moved like a shadow, touching the head of the first victim that dared to step close and sending out black energy through the use of demon transformation art. Under the shocked gaze of the rest, the victim turned to dust and was swept away by the wind. Even Yang Ming was scared, never seeing such a ruthless killing method despite his stay in the Hell Valley, which was filled with its fair share of demonic cultivating monsters. If he was scared, the bandits were horrified. Yang Ming's eyes flickered on and off. Gone was his disdain for Zhuofan, now replaced by endless caution. Who the hell are you? There's no way the Luo clan could have someone like you. With a sinister smile, Zhuofan pretended to caress an imaginary beard while speaking in an aged voice. Little brother, did you forget? This old man is but a swindler. It turns out it's you. Killing intent flashed as Yang Ming spoke. Where are they? Zhuofan shook his head. Are you an idiot? I was here, those two, definitely here also. I really regret not kill you at that time. Yang Ming's heart tightened. If the old man and Lei Yuting came out, his control over the Blackwind Mountain bandits would crumble. Zhuofan only shook his head. You wouldn't have attacked, not until you saw Xiao Kui. For you to have hidden for so long in the Blackwind Mountain shows your careful nature, unable to accept the smallest mistake. Until you knew for certain Xiao Kui's location, you'd never kill her master. Yang Ming's heart was in upheaval. Never for the likes of him could he imagine a stranger had such a piercing analysis of him, that could see through his every move. He was far more cunning than even the old men in the Hell Valley. As Zhuofan words landed, the bandits began to doubt. Yang Ming couldn't drag this any longer, for fear of exposing himself for good and ruining the house's plan. He chose to attack Zhuofan. Are you really that scared? You even attack me using your full strength. Don't be too cocky, I'm stronger than you, Quan. Do you think you can beat me? Despite his opponent's fierce momentum, Zhuofan stopped and spread his arms as he welcomed Yang Ming with a mystifying smile. Yang Ming was unnerved, but not enough to curb his attack. Zhuofan then curled a finger and a yellow light encased him. Yang Ming collided with the light and bounced off while coughing blood. What is that? How did he do it? Wasn't he just a qi condensation punk? Didn't you Quan give him a heavy wound? How is he so strong? Zhuofan chuckled at Yang Ming's puzzlement as his hand moved. You're a bit stronger than you Quan, but still trash. The only fate of trash is death. Zhuofan's eyes flashed with killing intent. A golden dragon burst out of the ground and swooped down on Yang Ming. Its majestic power brought everyone else to their knees. Yang Ming felt fear and wanted to curse. Blast it, the house lied to me. Didn't they say this punk can only sneak attack? How does he have this much power? If that dragon attacks, not even my bones will remain. Only a profound heaven expert has such power. Stop. Just when the golden dragon was poised to strike, a shout came. The bandits knew it belonged to their young miss and hope rose within them. The next moment tens of black chains descended from the black cloud above. They not only tied the dragon up but also crushed it. Zhuofan looked with contracted pupils. The black cloud was the same one the three elders from the Hell Valley relied on before. There was another one. Frowning, Zhuofan knew the black cloud hid another elder. Lei Yuting also arrived next to Zhuofan and glared. Didn't I tell you to stop? Anyone who stands in my way is my enemy. Why should I listen to you? Zhuofan didn't look at her, only staring at the newcomer. A man descended from the black clouds and landed in front of Yang Ming. The man waved. Yu Ming, leave. No, Elder Yun. I want to get Zhuofan's head myself, for junior brother Yu Quan's revenge. Yu Ming glared at Zhuofan. The man gave him an unexpected slap, sending him flying. Do you think you can kill him? Why? Elder Yun, the man snorted. Despite your scheming heart, I used to see you as a man of talent, worthy of raising. But now that I met this youngster, I realized you are nothing more than an insect. The man then turned to Zhuofan with a smile. I give you a chance, if you are willing to work for our Yuming Valley. Our grudge will end here. You think you deserve to fight me? The man then turned to Zhuo Fan with a smile. Child, you have one chance. Join Hell Valley and all our differences shall be made void. Or, he swiped and a black chain tightened tens of Blackwind Mountain bandits. He pulled a bit and all that was left were pieces of flesh. Or follow in their footsteps. Shock spread to those still alive to see this, and Lei Yuting glared in rage at him. Rubbing his chin, Zhuo Fan smiled. Wasn't Hell Valley using Blackwind Mountain to save its reputation? Why kill them? With how smart you are, I'm sure you can figure it out. The man snickered. Since our plan is out in the open, I would rather avoid raising doubts in them by killing all now. Them? Who's that? Zhuo Fan frowned. The man shook his head. You will know once you join us. Zhuo Fan only laughed. To me, Hell Valley is the same as he is to you, a mere insect. He pointed at Yu Ming with a taunt. The man's ire grew. Kid, don't you fear death? Zhuo Fan snickered. Can you deliver it? The man jumped and hacked his palm in rage at Zhuo Fan. Die. Zhuo Fan made a gesture and a yellow light blocked the attack. Yu Ming saw them clash with jealousy and hatred. He was considered outstanding and was sent on an important mission to Blackwind Mountain. But Zhuo Fan's sudden appearance ruined everything. It even caused the elder to abandon him. Zhuo Fan, you'll see. Yu Ming wiped the blood from his mouth and fled. Lei Yuting chased at once and the two were gone moments later. Seeing her go, he sighed, foolish girl, and he sent Blood Infant to follow them in secret. The man struck 3 times and Zhuo Fan countered with a hand sign, which erected yellow light. After 20-odd hits, the man floated in the air and sneered, You're really something to be able to control the 3rd-grade coiling dragon array at such a young age. It's most unfortunate you met me. He then rushed towards Zhuo Fan again as the latter formed a golden dome of light to stop him. Having foreseen this, the man gathered 20% more power in his palm before striking. The dome crumbled under the devastating blow and he continued to speed towards Zhuo Fan. Humph. The power of profound heaven isn't something a chi condensation kid can even begin to imagine. Zhuo Fan smiled and muttered, a 5th-grade array isn't something a novice can comprehend either. With a snort, Zhuo Fan's hand signs took a sudden change. Roar. A golden dragon erupted from the ground and moved to attack Elder Yun. With disdain plainly seen on his face, Elder Yun waved tens of black chains around the dragon and crushed it. Just as the dragon dissipated, Zhuo Fan's gesture changed again. 2nd heaven. 2 golden dragons charged this time. Shocked, the man never saw this array forming 2 dragon images. This exceeded his understanding of the coiling dragon array. Even before the man could take a breather, Zhuo Fan shouted 2 times. 4th heaven. And the 4th dragon appeared. 9th heaven. A total of 9 golden dragons roamed the skies as their fearsome roars echoed everywhere. The man was gasping for breath and looked appalled at the majestic scene. Never in his wildest dream could he ever conceive that a chi condensation child was able to control such an imposing array. This isn't the coiling dragon array. The man saw the 9 golden dragons setting their vicious sights on their enemy, him. Zhuo Fan gave a cruel grin. This is the 5th-grade array, 9 heavens coiling dragon array. Try it, if you have the nerve. After a deep look at Zhuo Fan, the man cackled. How amusing. To think a kid can control a 5th-grade array. I am more and more intrigued. For the last time, will you join Hell Valley? The man's fervent look was akin to gazing upon a priceless treasure, but he only received disdain. I've never once considered joining a rundown place like yours. Since you chose to keep that road shut, the only path left is to your death. The man flew like the wind, with all his killing intent focused on Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was but a teenager, but the ruthless and calculative mind coupled with his preeminent talent left the man with dread for the future. It was best to avoid any future mishaps and kill him on the spot. Zhuo Fan was clear of Elder Yun's intention and with a hand sign from him, he sent the 9 dragons to attack the elder. 9 dragon tails charged. An ear-piercing sound came, and the man had to come face to face with the awe-inspiring power of 9 dragon tails, stopping him dead in his tracks. His only choice was to unleash his black chains, hoping their power was enough. Under the shaking sky and spinning ground, the man's chains and the dragon tails clashed. It resulted in him being sent flying. He flew 50 meters before landing, puking blood the first instance his body made contact with the ground. Zhuo Fan mocked, how did you become an elder with just this much strength? How did Hell Valley even wiggle its way among the 7 noble houses? Who'd imagine this day would come when a chi condensation child would toy with him? Once word got out, he'd be the butt of the Empire's joke. Even if he returned to the valley lord wouldn't let him off with just a tongue lashing. Kid, even if you go down on your knees and beg, I will still kill you. His eyes bloodshot, A golden ring appeared on the man's hand, exuding a dreadful aura. A demonic treasure was a demonic cultivator's weapon, just as how a spiritual weapon was to a righteous cultivator. With it, the man's power would multiply. Demonic treasure? Zhuo Fan started to get serious. Hell Valley's elder, have you no shame? To use a demonic treasure against a Qi condensation junior? Zhuo Fan mocked, but Elder Yun replied with a savage grin, who will be able to tell when everyone's dead? Zhuo Fan was anxious now. He wanted to provoke Elder Yun just so he could avoid this situation, but when up against a demonic cultivator, they would stoop to any low. If a righteous cultivator gave up his life for honor, fought for justice and yet still died gruesomely, a demonic cultivator would only take that man for a fool. This was why no demonic cultivator would ever wish to battle with another demonic cultivator. They were ruthless, scheming and sinister characters, and the only outcome of fighting them was one victor and one loser with no in-between, particularly in the Shameless One's case. Then again, if it were him, he'd come to the same decision as well. The man attacked again, and Zhuo Fan sent the 9 dragon tails to fend him off. But this time, the ring flashed silver light and increased the man's speed, cutting through the tails like a silver saber. So fast. Zhuo Fan sucked a cold breath. He knew the man's newfound power was all because of the ring. The silver light then flashed in front of him, followed by the man's vicious grin. Kid, there's nowhere left for you to run. 3rd grade demonic treasure? Zhuo Fan smiled. Good eye. The man nodded. You're the first Qi condensation with the honor of dying from this 3rd grade demonic treasure, Savage Moon. Wait. Zhuo Fan waved frantically. If I join Hell Valley now, too late. The man laughed as Savage Moon approached Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan didn't want to die, he just got reincarnated. But all he could do was sigh and close his eyes. Boom. A sudden thunderclap reached his ears, and Zhuo Fan could still feel that he was alive. Opening his eyes, he saw a tall old man in front with blood trickling down his arm. Who are you? Elder Yun asked. Blackwind Mountain's Lei Yuntian. As the old man shouted, lightning flashed all over him. Any that dares to mess with the Luo clan are my enemies. Zhuo Fan now knew the old man was, in fact, the mountain lord of Blackwind Mountain. Before, he was but a bedridden patient and now was back to his health. You've recovered. Zhuo Fan was overjoyed. Smiling, Lei Yuntian expressed his thanks. Thanks to Steward Zhuo's kindness, I've not only recovered but also entered the profound heaven stage. Chuckling, Zhuo Fan made a sign and 9 golden dragons soared. Old man Lei, please hear me out. This time we'll be taking this geezer's life. Lei Yuntian saw the confidence in Zhuo Fan's eyes and nodded. While their enemy seemed to have heard the biggest joke in his life. I've broken through your array once, kid. This profound heaven old man's cultivation is still unstable. Not enough to take my life. Smirking, Zhuo Fan muttered, when I use someone, I never take any rules into consideration. This is our best chance, old man Lei. Attack. Since Zhuo Fan saved his life once, Lei Yuntian had faith in him. He knew the enemy was stronger than him but still chose to face him. Lightning finger. Elder Yun sneered and sent black chains. Even if Lei Yuntian did not die from this attack, he'd still be sporting heavy wounds. However, the 9 golden dragons charged into battle as well. Elder Yun had no choice but to soar up and use the silver light from his weapon to cut the dragons in two. The dragons were unable to stop his assault as he inched closer to Zhuo Fan. It's best I kill you first. Elder Yun's speed left Zhuo Fan without time to make a hand sign. But Lei Yuntian appeared with his lightning finger aimed at the elder's throat. The man had to shift Savage Moon's target from Zhuo Fan to the Lei Yuntian. Lei Yuntian showed a gratified smile, still willing to attack Elder Yun. For Lei Yuntian, even if Zhuo Fan had intended to send him to his death, he'd be willing. Dying for the Luo clan's sake was a good death to him. Thanks to the old man's distraction, Zhuo Fan finished his hand signs and bit his tongue, spitting blood essence. Humph, have a taste of 9 heavens coiling dragon array's real power. The 9 cut dragons turned into golden dots and rushed to Zhuo Fan. A glorious and ancient roar was released, followed by a huge dragon far greater than all the previous 9 dragons combined. This new dragon immediately rushed towards Elder Yun. The man's eyes narrowed as his heart shook, but it was already too late. The new dragon's speed was even greater than Savage Moon's. He couldn't even poise Savage Moon to defend and the dragon crashed into him, carrying him off into the sky. How can a Qi condensation brat? Boom. A grand explosion rumbled the skies above the small courtyard as the dragon ignited the heavens in a flash of gold. The shockwave even put pressure on the building, despite being so far, while other houses crumbled in the aftermath. Deafening noise from the explosion attacked people's ears even as they covered them up and laid trembling on the ground. This sound attack lasted for a full minute. A dreadful noise came from Veiled Dragon Pavilion's direction, followed by a golden light that lit up the whole sky. The 5 people stopped their attack and stood in shock. What was that? Did another expert appear? Third Elder felt his ears rumbling and sucked in a cold breath. But which expert could have unleashed such a move? Retreat! With no time to waste, Third Elder shouted as he flew back to Veiled Dragon Pavilion. He was far more worried about its well-being than the death of these 2 Hell Valley elders. Though Long Ju was unwilling, he followed the Third Elder with a sigh. Seeing the 3 Veiled Dragon Pavilion elders retreat, the 2 men in black let out a sigh of relief, yet were still puzzled by how the events turned out. They knew an elder was there to make sure the plan didn't go south. But even that elder wasn't powerful enough for this kind of feat. The answer was quite simple in this case. Another expert much stronger than Elder Yun showed up. Hearts heavy with worry, the 2 discarded any plans of going there to assist Elder Yun. They feared that the Veiled Dragon Pavilion's 3 elders might set a trap. So, they took the only viable choice, retreat. At the small courtyard, Lei Yuntian watched the night sky slack-jawed. He thought Shuo Fan wanted him to bait Elder Yun and leave him open for a sneak attack. But Shuo Fan defied his imagination. He still acted as bait but did not pay the ultimate price. While the enemy was caught unaware, the lad sprung up with a devastating blow that took Elder Yun's life, leaving no remains. Recalling the sky-blazing aftermath, Lei Yuntian shuddered. Not only was he surprised, but also shocked. Hell Valley's elder, a profound heaven expert, died in one move. This kid is terrifying. Old man Lei. Zhuo Fan caught his breath and stood up weakly. Lei Yuntian heard him and rushed over to hear his instructions. His faith in the kid had once again strengthened. This was no longer just gratitude for having saved him or faith in a youth's potential, but the respect for the strong. Steward Zhuo, if there's anything you want done, just tell me. Zhuo Fan nodded. Old man Lei, I'll leave Luo clan in your care while I go bring young Miss Lei back. No worries, they'll have to pass over my dead body before they can harm a hair of Yunhai and Yunchang. Lei Yuntian nodded with resolve. Zhuo Fan showed a relieved smile and went after Lei Yuting. Hell Valley had left only one elder here and he too was dead now. Seeing how no other enemy popped up while fighting, Zhuo Fan was certain Hell Valley only sent 4 men in total, including the ones Veiled Dragon Pavilion's elders were chasing. Under a profound heaven expert's careful watch, the Luo clan siblings' safety was guaranteed. So he could devote all his attention to saving that foolish girl. To be on the safe side, he picked up the Savage Moon first. A 3rd-grade demonic treasure shouldn't be wasted. Yang Ming ran like mad while clutching his chest in the gloomy forest. He was injured from the smack he got from Zhuo Fan's array, but Elder Yun's slap made it worse. His mind was clouded and breath ragged. Stop! A clear and angry shout came from behind, freezing Yang Ming in place. He turned to see Lei Yuting watching him with complex emotions. Making sure she was alone and double-checking Zhuo Fan wasn't there, Yang Ming relaxed and showed a wicked grin. Junior sister, you want to stop me all by yourself? Frowning, Lei Yuting's eyes turned misty. For my godfather, I will help him get rid of such a traitorous disciple. Traitorous disciple? I was never one of you in the first place. Yang Ming mocked her. Moreover, do you think you can kill me with your strength? Even if we are to die together, at least I can repay godfather's kindness for raising me. Lei Yuting's eyes glittered with tears as she stared at him right in the eye. I just want to know, did you ever love me? Black demonic energy drifted from Yang Ming's hand as he sneered. I am a genius disciple of Hell Valley. If I am ever to marry, I would choose from among the 7 houses. How can I be tied down with the likes of you? Tears fell unabated, but Lei Yuting hardened her determination. Then from now on, we are through. Lei Yuting followed her last word with lightning flickering between her fingers. However, Yang Ming dodged lightning finger at the last second. Yang Ming laughed, hardly afraid, and fought back with the black-colored hand. Lei Yuting saw his evil grin and came to terms with the outcome, closing her eyes for death to take her. It was then that a flash of red struck Yang Ming's black palm. Bam! Yang Ming was sent flying and coughed blood in midair. An infant's cry came from the red light as it flew into a bush. She knew it was Zhuo Fan's blood infant. She stood there in a daze, muttering as she glanced at blood infant. Was it you who saved me? She did not know of the inseparable bond between Zhuo Fan and the blood infant. However, she knew it was something he treasured. But even so, to think that Zhuo Fan would send his treasure to save her. Lei Yuting began to feel warm inside. When she turned her focus to Yang Ming, only killing intent remained in her eyes. Yang Ming was panicking, wanting to flee but hardly had the energy to get up. Sister Yuting, have mercy. Remember how close we were. Remember how we used to laugh. Yang Ming shrank backwards while begging. Now I want to kill you even more. Snorting, her fingers struck without hesitation. Wait, spare me. Yang Ming wailed, but there was no one to hear his cry. Bam! When Lei Yuting's attack was about to land, a tremendous power blew her away. A bald elderly landed next to Yang Ming. Elder Jian. Yang Ming cried out. He took Elder Jian as his savior, having pulled him out of the jaws of death. Never had he been so thrilled to meet an elder from his house. Throwing a side glance at the wounded kid, he bellowed, "How did you fall so low? What about the plan?" Yang Ming's face fell and shook his head, unclear. Elder Jian wanted to kick this worthless thing away. If Elder Jian didn't need to hear the kid's report, he would have killed him right then and there. Forget it, we'll speak of it when we return. Sighing, Elder Jian's eyes turned to the stunned Lei Yuting. After we get rid of this girl. He then jumped at her with a palm strike. Coming face to face with a profound heaven expert for the first time, Lei Yuting was frozen in fear. Under such power, she couldn't even defend. A sudden silver flash cowered Elder Jian into retreating before the hit landed. A figure made itself notice as it walked next to Lei Yuting, striking a sinister grin. Do all elders from Hell Valley like to pick on juniors? Zhuo Fan. Lei Yuting cried in joy as her heart found peace. You again. Elder Jian squinted his eyes at the savage moon in shock. Why do you have that demonic treasure? What happened to Elder Yun? Grinning, Zhuo Fan pointed savage moon at Elder Jian. Oh, you recognize it. Jian Fan's mind was in chaos. Don't tell me, how can that old guy die at the hands of a pup? But, the more he looked at the demonic treasure, the more Jian Fan felt shock, hatred, and above all, confusion. Be that as it may, but no Hell Valley's demonic treasure was allowed to fall into an outsider's hand. Aware of the other's intention, Zhuo Fan snickered as he sent a whisper to Lei Yuting. Listen, aim for the old man's heart and close your eyes as you attack with lightning finger. Ignore everything else. She turned to him in shock. How can I hit him if I close my eyes? We won't win against a profound heaven cultivator regardless, but she soon recalled Zhuo Fan's unscrupulous character and understood his intention. The only reason he saved her was to use her as a live bait to throw into the jaws of death. Lei Yuting nodded despondently. She was already prepared to die when she made the decision to come here. Zhuo Fan curled his finger, making Blood Infant return to his body unnoticed as he shouted, "Now!" Zhuo Fan went first and Lei Yuting followed his plan by closing her eyes and using lightning finger. Startled, Elder Jian didn't expect them to move first, but he didn't mind as a profound heaven cultivator's defense wasn't something a chi condensation cultivator could pierce. The only danger to his life was posed by that savage moon. As such, Zhuo Fan had his complete focus. Elder Jian sneered, turning a blind eye to the girl. When she was near Elder Jian, Zhuo Fan flashed in front of her and attacked with Savage Moon. It was a simple thing for Jian Fan to grab Zhuo Fan's hand and snap it in two. Humph, don't think a petty diversion is enough to trick my eyes. I've lived far longer than you. Smoke and mirrors won't work on me. Jian Fan sneered. Yet, it still has. Zhuo Fan's smile remained. From Zhuo Fan's broken arm, blood spurted out like a stream and dyed the trees red. Jian Fan watched Zhuo Fan with rage. Was you back then? He now knew what had entered his body not too long ago and allowed the three elders from Veiled Dragon Pavilion to use that chance and tear one of his arms. Jian Fan gnashed his teeth. Once I get out of your demonic creature's control, I'll tear you to pieces. Zhuo Fan smiled. Despite sensing the increasing pressure on Blood Infant, Elder Jian, you've been tricked yet again. Lightning crackled as Lei Yuting's fingers came from behind Zhuo Fan and struck Jian Fan's chest. Watching Zhuo Fan's eerie smile with doubt, Elder Jian's eyes bulged out from grievance and unwillingness to die like this. Elder Jian, you were wrong. I was the distraction. Zhuo Fan smiled despite the blood leaking from his mouth. You only paid attention to Savage Moon, but you forgot your wounded state. Weakened as you are now, you no longer have the same amount of Yuan Qi as before. The fear in Elder Jian's eyes grew thick. And I put some of my Qi to inside your body. Such a cunning and vicious youth. This was how the expert Jian Fan breathed his last breath. Two Qi condensation juniors killing a profound heaven expert. If anyone spoke of this, none would believe it. Plop. Zhuo Fan collapsed in his own blood. Zhuo Fan used himself as bait while leaving the final blow to Lei Yuting. Each step was filled with perils. The slightest mistake, the slightest hesitation would have meant death. Lei Yuting was crying in despair when she saw this. She thought Zhuo Fan wanted her to act as bait, but it exceeded her expectations when he took the most dangerous role onto himself. Zhuo Fan, forgive me. Lei Yuting kneeled at his side, watching his pale face. Zhuo Fan waved. This isn't your fault. When Blood Infant was wounded, I also suffered internal injuries. His wounds mattered little when compared to Blood Infant's, which represented his life. This only worked to increase Lei Yuting's flow of tears. She now knew that the demonic creature wasn't a treasure, but something bound to his life. Yet even in such a perilous state, he chose to take a life-threatening hit for her. She began to see Zhuo Fan with different eyes, but Zhuo Fan himself couldn't care less. Zhuo Fan pointed at Jian Fan. Search him. A Hell Valley elder has to have valuable things on him. Lei Yuting used her highly dexterous hands to complete this task with such skill that Zhuo Fan couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. A bandit sure is skilled. Once Jian Fan was picked clean, Lei Yuting returned to Zhuo Fan. In her entire life, this was the first time she ever lowered her head in shame from doing something so unbecoming of her. But he couldn't care less about the reason why she was hiding her face. As she strewed the things before Zhuo Fan, she kept avoiding his eyes. Zhuo Fan found it odd but didn't care and started to rummage through Elder Jian's stuff. The first and foremost thing that caught his eye was the storage ring, and soon found what he was looking for. Inside, a light flashed and 2 jade slips appeared in his hand: Lei Clan's spiritual ranked martial art, Lightning Finger, and Cai Clan's martial art, Wind Kick. He was clueless as to the secret involving the 3 clans' martial arts but did not hesitate in taking them into his own ring. What was left were some cultivation methods, martial arts, and spirit stones. Zhuo Fan, as a former demonic emperor, couldn't care less about those and threw the ring to Lei Yuting. According to Bandit's rule, half belongs to you. Lei Yuting shook her head. The old man was your kill. They are yours. I don't want them. He has nothing of value. Zhuo Fan smiled and turned his eyes to a bag. It was only as big as a palm, but Zhuo Fan knew of its remarkable quality. It was a bag that could store living creatures. And what laid within was none other than the soul-devouring crow. Stashing it in his chest, Zhuo Fan smiled pleasantly. It held the largest interest to him. Who knew, he might even discover the secret of the purple lightning gold eye. Lei Yuting was shocked at the ring's contents and still decided to give it to Zhuo Fan. I know Luo clan is wealthy, but there are some spirit-ranked martial arts and cultivation methods inside which are of far greater value than mere spirit stones. It will provide great help in restoring your clan. Zhuo Fan shrugged as he weighed the ring. Such trashy things I have in heaps. There's nothing rare or great about them. If you don't want it, I'll just throw it. He was about to do just that when Lei Yuting took the ring from his hand. How can you be such a wastrel, to not even want spirit-ranked martial arts? How did you manage to become a steward anyway? With how you act, Luo clan's money will get flushed down the drain. Time to head back. Veiled Dragon Pavilion has some explaining to do. Zhuo Fan smiled as he put Jian Fan's corpse into his ring. Lei Yuting nodded and rushed to support him. As Zhuo Fan was far too weakened, he could only lean onto her shoulder, tinting her cheeks red in the process. Wait. Zhuo Fan stopped to look around. Where's Yang Ming? Lei Yuting looked everywhere but there was no sight of Yang Ming. They forgot about him in the heat of the battle. Curses, he got away. Lei Yuting gnashed her teeth. Zhuo Fan shook his head. No need to bother with an insect. But then he recalled his disciple, Zhao Chen, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. But even insects can spell trouble. The next time I see him, he's dead. The sun's warm rays shone from the east as Long Jie and Long Kuei led hundreds of Veiled Dragon Pavilion guards back to the branch. Long Ju, with 3rd and 5th Elder, stood at the gates watching their return with negligible casualties. The 3 elders were pleased. Little Kuei, Jie, how was your fight? Long Kuei was the first to report. As the uncles predicted, after you chased the elders from Hell Valley, a large force came to attack us only to be defeated by us. Barely a scant few bone-tempering cultivators escaped. Well done. Long Ju shouted his approval. Your improvement has been great lately. Magnificent for you to not only lead your own team but to also wipe out the enemy. Third brother, when you return to the estate, make sure to report the two's merit to Pavilion Lord. Long Ju's laughter shook the air as if he was relieved of the past year's pressure. This huge merit the two achieved for Veiled Dragon Pavilion was the first in their lives. Such accomplishment was always followed by a sense of honor and pride. Oh, right. Third Elder furrowed his brow. Do you know what was the cause of that tremendous explosion last night? That sound shook the world and I thought it was from Third Elder's fight with Hell Valley's elders. Wasn't it? Long Kuei asked. The 3 elders' expression turned grave as they shook their heads. Oh, didn't the Luo clan stay hidden in their small courtyard all this time? Let's go ask them. Long Ju slapped his head as he turned to Third Elder. Nodding, Third Elder walked in the small courtyard's direction, followed by the others. Long Kuei smirked. The battle must have been so brutal last night that a tiny clan like them were scared to even poke their heads. They probably hadn't seen anything. None spoke while Long Jie shook his head. They clearly approved of her stance, as they were only going there to ask for clues. When they arrived before the guest room of the small courtyard, they saw Luo clan's members standing before Zhuofan's door with worried faces. With them were 3 more people, and one among them was in the profound heaven stage. The 3 elders were startled, hurrying to pay their respects to Lei Yuntian. "May I inquire brother's name?" Long Ju looked at him while being confused. When did Luo clan get an expert? Lei Yuntian returned the gesture as he knew of Veiled Dragon Pavilion's might. "I am Lei Yuntian from Blackwind Mountain. It's an honor to meet the famous Veiled Dragon Pavilion. I am fortunate to come face to face with elders." As the Lei clan now had a profound heaven expert, the Blackwind Mountain's influence would expand like never before. Despite how Bone Tempering Stage and Profound Heaven Stage were but a stage apart, the fact that a clan had a Profound Heaven expert as overseer, it now became a second-rate clan on this continent. Those that lacked such power were mere third-rate or fallen clans. Lei clan can now be considered as the most outstanding clan in Windgaze City. Clan head Lei, I wonder what are you? Long Ju roamed his eyes over the people gathered before Zhuofan's room. Lei Yuntian sighed. "Steward Zhuo was hurt last night and is unclear if he will survive." "What? This place was under attack too?" Third elder was shocked. He thought that Long Jie and Long Kuei had blocked all Hell Valley's men last night, but it seemed that wasn't the case. Did they prepare 2 teams? A sudden snort of disdain came from behind. Wasn't Zhuofan always acting so high and mighty? Didn't he boast he'd surpass the 7 houses in 10 years? So useless, to only end up on his deathbed from a bunch of thieves. Luo clan and Lei clan all glared at the speaker, but Long Kuei just rolled her eyes. "Quiet, little Kuei." Long Ju shot her a glare and Long Kuei was forced to remain silent. Looking apologetic toward Lei Yuntian, Long Ju spoke, "Please excuse her rash behavior." Just who could it be, powerful enough to injure Zhuofan to such a state even with a profound heaven expert such as yourself protecting him? Lei Yuntian was taken aback, but then shook his head. "I am ashamed to say that I only advanced last night and still lacked the power to defend Steward Zhuo. But the enemy was a profound heaven expert that called himself Elder Yun." "What, Yu Yunqing?" Third elder and Long Ju were startled as the former muttered, "I never thought that he'd also come." But then he turned with joy at Lei Yuntian. "Brother Lei, you're amazing. That man was one of Hell Valley's 12 elders, having entered the Profound Heaven stage for decades. Yet you just advanced to Profound Heaven stage and defeated him. Impressive indeed." The other 2 elders also showed their admiration. Lei Yuntian blushed and said with a cough, "Third elder is exaggerating. I couldn't even take a single blow from him." "Then how did you all pass the night unharmed?" Long Ju asked, scratching his head. Lei Yuntian looked at Zhuofan's door. "It's all thanks to Steward Zhuo. If not for him, everyone here would have undoubtedly perished." "You're saying Zhuofan held Yu Yunqing back by himself, all night?" Everyone was stunned, Long Kuei included. "But he's just a qi condensation cultivator." Long Ju refuted. Lei Yuntian shrugged at a loss. "I am clear on that, but so what?" The last words choked Long Ju. Lei Yuntian said it as if it was a common occurrence for a qi condensation cultivator to fight off a profound heaven cultivator for an entire night. "And?" Third elder clenched his fists, staring at Lei Yuntian. "You mean to tell us Zhuofan forced elder Yu Yunqing into retreating?" "Retreat?" Frowning, Lei Yuntian showed a trace of fear as he relived the last night's events. "You are underestimating Zhuofan far too much." "Underestimate?" Even if one scoured the continent, would he ever find an instance where a qi condensation cultivator forced a profound heaven expert into retreating? "We only made the most reasonable guess, yet even this is such a far-fetched exaggeration that not even Zhuofan would believe. If not for you mentioning it, we'd have never conceived such ideas." The 3 elders swallowed dryly, with hearts in their throat. The fool didn't even have time to flee, killed in one move by Zhuofan. Lei Yuntian sighed. The elders were overwhelmed with shock. This was unprecedented. Long Kuei and Long Jie were also dumbfounded. Long Ju's hands began to shiver without his knowledge. "Are you saying Zhuofan was behind the huge explosion last night? He killed a Hell Valley's profound heaven elder and got out with a light wound?" Long Ju was anxious and his aura leaked, forcing the others to take a few steps back. "That's impossible. He came out unscathed." Long Ju was battered with one shock after another that even he didn't know what he was saying. But then how did he get hurt? A pale-faced Zhuofan slammed the door open and snapped at Long Ju. "Isn't it because of you, Bro Ju?" Some were shocked, Some were glad, some were amazed, but most were filled with doubts as they turned to him. Are you all right? Luo Yunchang was worried. Zhuo Fan snorted as he glared at everyone who was present. Here I am trying to keep my life and you people had to yap on and on. You think one can get well like this? They all started getting embarrassed and lowered their heads. Only the 3 elders looked at him at a loss. Zhuo Fan secretly snorted. Broju, didn't you want to know how I got hurt? It's all because of him. Zhuo Fan took out a cold corpse, shocking them all. The ones most shocked were, of course, the 3 elders. Condor Jian Fan. The fear in Jian Fan's eyes hadn't dissipated even after his death and was clearly visible for everyone as they looked at his corpse that laid stiff on the ground. What manner of death could have evoked such expression from a monster who roamed the continent unhindered? How? Condor Jian Fan is actually dead. Who killed him? Long Ju was unnerved and stammered. Zhuo Fan sneered. Is there a need to ask when I was the one who took out his corpse? They all looked at Zhuo Fan with a stranger's eyes. Each guessed as such, but none dared to believe it. This monster had even escaped the Veiled Dragon Pavilion's 3 elders' joint attack. I knew that there was a deep grudge between him and Broju. Since I chanced upon him, I killed him. Flicking off imaginary dust from himself, Zhuo Fan smiled. Broju, please don't take offense from meddling in your affairs. Long Ju panted and was staring at the corpse with bloodshot eyes. This monster ruined my eye and my future. I can hardly contain myself from drinking his blood and feasting on his flesh. How can I blame you for taking revenge in my stead, Brother Zhuo? Suddenly, Long Ju cupped his hands. From this day forth, I shall treat you as a sworn brother. As long as you're in my domain, you just need to ask and I'll do it. Broju is too courteous. I barely did anything. Zhuo Fan dismissed him with a wave, but that little movement stirred his wound and winced. Long Ju appeared next to him in a flash. Don't move, brother. Here are some recovery pills. In 3 days you'll be up and about. Long Ju took out a few small bottles and placed them in Zhuo Fan's hand. With how caring Long Ju was, the other elders stared at Zhuo Fan in amazement. Long Kuei pouted, feeling her heart dumped in vinegar. Who knows what trick he pulled to get so lucky and snatch their heads? How could a qi condensation cultivator ever kill a profound heaven expert? Long Kuei muttered in jealousy, but everyone heard her. 3rd elder glared but then shook his head. Yet Zhuo Fan laughed. It is true that it was by luck that I encountered the one-armed elder and got his head, bad luck in fact, because I had just then killed a profound heaven expert and was out of Yuan Qi. But this also made him underestimate me. How else could I have killed the wounded elder Jian? If it were any other time, wouldn't the elder kill me with but a wave of his hand? Sigh, last night I had the worst luck, unlike some people, who only had to lead their men to ensure their safety. Zhuo Fan sighed, as Long Kuei's face flushed red. You, Lei Yuting giggled. She was clear on what happened last night. Zhuo Fan was indeed amazing, forcing the elder to act as he wanted. Zhuo Fan said that just to spite Long Kuei, the 3 elders laughed as they shook their heads. But the fact remained, him killing 2 such experts in a single night shook the elders' core. Old Ju, take care of Brother Zhuo's wound. We will also add a few hundred guards around the premises while I and Brother Wu report back to the estate. We must notify Pavilion Lord. Long Ju nodded while Long Kuei and Long Jie froze. Why even 3rd elder is calling Zhuo Fan brother? Zhuo Fan adapted to the change on the spot. Bro-san, Bro Wu, take care. Stumbling, 3rd and 5th elders shook their heads in dismay. Old Ju was right. This kid's greatest talent is to read hearts. After they left, Long Ju and the others helped Zhuo Fan back to his room. In bed, Zhuo Fan eased his breathing and asked, everyone leave, I have to talk with Broju alone. As the people left, Long Ju was wondering what could Zhuo Fan want to know so urgently. Broju, I have a gift for you. Gift? Long Ju only laughed. Brother, I'm not trying to discourage you, but the Luo clan hasn't got anything I could take interest in. Or is it that you have another ancient array? Zhuo Fan shook his head. In your dreams. That array alone is worth 10 million at the minimum. Do you think they're easy to come by? But I'm pretty sure you're going to like this gift. Zhuo Fan took out a bag. Frowning, Long Ju didn't understand until Zhuo Fan opened the bag and a crow landed on his shoulder. Jian Fan's soul-devouring crow? Correct. Ever since that old guy died, this crow has been without an owner. I'm sure Bro Ju wouldn't need long to turn it into your spirit animal, always there to protect you. Long Ju's eyes began to glisten. The title of God Eye Long Ju lost all its power ever since his eye was robbed. Now that he had the crow, it was as if he recovered his mystic eye. Brother, thank you for your kind intention. Long Ju's eye trembled from the heartfelt gratitude. Zhuo Fan continued, Bro Ju, there's just one thing I am unclear about. Since you trained one eye in purple lightning gold eye, why couldn't you do the same for the other? This mystic eye wasn't cultivated through a cultivation method from Veiled Dragon Pavilion. It was something I found through luck. Long Ju considered Zhuo Fan as one of his closest friends. Thus, he became the first listener to this secret Long Ju had buried for such a long time. Brother, do you know of the 3 danger zones on this continent? After Zhuo Fan shook his head, Long Ju smiled. You can go anywhere you want across the continent, except for the 3 danger zones. Regardless of your strength, you'll find helpless against the dangers in there. The zones are Lightning Canyon, Ice Mountain, and Fire Pit. Long Ju stared at Zhuo Fan in all seriousness, but then laughed in the end. Never mind, even if you want to go you still can't. Only if your luck is sky high will you enter one. Why? Because these zones appear at random. Today, they might be in the east and tomorrow in the west. Regardless of where they descend, it will cause a terrible tornado that draws in all who dared approach, while also trapping them inside. That must be an array which an expert had deployed. If one didn't know how the array operated, they would have no hope of finding the entrance. Zhuo Fan asked, then how did you get out? Long Ju nodded with a deep look. You're smart, brother. Yes, in my youth I chanced upon the Lightning Canyon. At that time, the tornado swept me away and all I could see was a world of purple lightning. Every single expert there fell under the purple strikes. Then the oddest thing happened. The strike that was meant for me hit in my eye. While I was unharmed, all that I could feel from my eye was scorching heat. Just recalling it sends shivers down my spine. Zhuo Fan now understood. As it was stated in the 9 Serenities secret records regarding the Heavenly Emperor's purple lightning gold eye, everything was subjected to be destroyed under its gaze, all except the eye. This was why when the purple lightning struck Long Ju's eye, he was unharmed. Perhaps because of my will to survive, I gave it my all in fighting for my life. I was aware of the purple lightning's power but still wanted to live. It was at that moment that a man's voice reached me. He was reciting some method and I, in my confused state, mimicked his words. It shocked me in the end when my eye released purple lightning. It may have been because of the eye that the purple lightning no longer struck me. Finally, when the tornado passed, only I survived. But ever since I was robbed of my eye and because of the frantic situation when I gained it, I no longer recalled the words that man recited and had no way of forming another mystic eye. Long Ju sighed while Zhuo Fan nodded. Lightning Canyon was a remnant the Heavenly Emperor left behind and contained his cultivation method. I have to find it. If I add the 9 Serenities Emperor's legacy with Heavenly Emperor's, with 2 of the 3 Ancient Emperor's legacy in my hands, none can contest me. I didn't reincarnate in vain. No one would ever imagine that a powerful Emperor stage expert would leave his remnant in the mortal world. Zhuo Fan wanted to cackle but was sensible enough to refrain since Long Ju was next to him. With Long Ju's recovery pills, he was back to full health in 10 days but was forced to spend the remaining time to patch up Blood Infant's precarious state. A month later, Zhuo Fan came out of his room stretching his limbs and enjoying the fresh air. Moreover, just a few days ago, he and Blood Infant entered the 5th layer of Qi condensation. Just that it was a pity one of the 2 elders from Hell Valley died for naught. He truly hoped he could absorb the elder's Yuan Qi at the time. With it, he'd be in the bone tempering stage by now. Ah, Steward Zhuo. Xiao Kui shrieked in joy seeing him but then bolted. Zhuo Fan was stumped, feeling his face unconsciously. Did something change about me? Why did she run as soon as she saw me? What's so scary about me? I'm not a man-eating monster, but he soon had it all figured out. I must have been too rough on her when I ripped their clothes that time and this girl is now afraid of me. The same as how Luo Yunhai was before. Zhuo Fan snickered. I was kinda too hard on both the kids. Brother Zhuo, are you feeling better? This time it was the uncouth Captain Pang, old Pang. Captain Pang was the only one he admitted being his friend since he reincarnated. Zhuo Fan started to miss him after not seeing each other for a month. However, just as Captain Pang was about to give him a friendly hug, his face changed and away he ran. This time, Zhuo Fan was floored. Forget that lass, Xiao Kui, why is even old Pang avoiding me like a plague? Zhuo Fan frowned, unable to get to the bottom of it. He was expert in reading people's intentions in negotiations and fights, but that was because he was convinced every man's actions were motivated by benefit. Yet old Pang's behavior had him stumped. I've done nothing to hurt him and he shouldn't have a reason for being scared of me. Then what's the deal with him running away? Zhuo Fan shook his head in puzzlement but he wasn't in the mood to find out the reason. A man such as Demonic Emperor was a man of great action, not bothered by petty affairs. When he was about to leave, Lei Yuting appeared in his sight with a lunchbox and Xiao Kui running behind her. Her cute body hid behind Lei Yuting, peeking her small head to gaze at Shuo Fan. Lei Yuting walked with unsure steps, unlike the usual decisive nature she carried herself with. When she looked at Shuo Fan, her cheeks were rosy. Steward Shuo, thank you for saving me. Please accept this small token of appreciation. Shuo Fan eyed the lunchbox with suspicion as he eased the lid open. A wonderful smell swept him when the intricately made dishes prepared from the heart were in the open. Shuo Fan asked, "Where did you buy them from? Did Windgaze City have such a great restaurant?" "They weren't bought." Xiao Kui jumped out with a smile. Young Miss spent 10 hours each day making them and waited for Steward Shuo to come out of seclusion to try them out. Every day. Shuo Fan now unraveled the mystery of Xiao Kui running at the sight of him. It was to notify Lei Yuting. Not knowing when he'd come out, Lei Yuting cooked for him every day. Her perseverance moved him. Nodding, Shuo Fan spoke, "I accept your gift." Lei Yuting cupped her blushing face and whispered, "Steward Shuo just got well and needs to take care of his body. Hurry and eat before it gets cold." Shuo Fan returned to his room with the lunchbox. Even though he was in the qi condensation stage, not eating for a month made him hungry. Lei Yuting with Xiao Kui in tow followed him in. Her eyes shined like the sun, soft yet warm enough to melt a glacier. When Shuo Fan was about to dig in, Luo Yunchang's charming figure entered the room with a knock. Captain Pang followed behind her. Quirking an eyebrow, Shuo Fan saw her carrying a lunchbox too. "Oh, I didn't know Steward Shuo already had someone bringing him breakfast. I was worried for nothing." When she saw the lunchbox in front Shuo Fan, Luo Yunchang's smile widened but her eyes became sharp as if they were about to poke holes into everyone present. What got her in such a foul mood this morning? Shuo Fan flickered his brow in confusion. But when he picked up on Captain Pang's pitying glance, it got him baffled. Luo Yunchang slammed the box in front of Shuo Fan while squeezing a smile. "Steward Shuo, this is something I made for you to help in your recovery. I already have a share. I'm not a glutton to eat so much." Shuo Fan shrugged, planning on pushing aside Luo Yunchang's box, but then he sensed killing intent. He caught Luo Yunchang's eyes glaring at him. I'll try both of them." Shuo Fan flinched for the first time in his life. He didn't understand what the fuss was about but knew that if he hadn't said that, there would have been a real danger to his life. Revealing Luo Yunchang's dishes, he found them scorched black, cutting most of his appetite. I think I'll eat this one." Shuo Fan went for Lei Yuting's box as she showed a bright smile. But even before his hand reached it, Luo Yunchang bumped her box closer to him with a glare. "Didn't you say you'll eat them both?" Shuo Fan's brow flickered, hesitation setting in as he took another long look at Luo Yunchang's burnt dishes. But he could hardly refuse her sincere eyes and nodded. "All right, I'll eat them." Luo Yunchang broke out into a wide smile, to which Lei Yuting was showing disdain. "Mine first." Luo Yunchang urged. "No, mine." Lei Yuting said in haste. The two women's eyes met and sparks seemed to fly. Shuo Fan wondered, weren't they close? Why are they fighting all of a sudden? He couldn't comprehend what could bring such a change in them. First come, first served. Shuo Fan then took a bite out of Lei Yuting's dishes. She was staring at him with wide and expectant eyes. Shuo Fan gave a thumbs up. Delicious. Lei Yuting's smile bloomed like a flower, while Xiao Kui pushed out her chin and shouted, "My young miss started cooking since she was 10. No one in Windgaze City can match her skill. You are fortunate today, Steward Shuo." Luo Yunchang pouted. "Shuo Fan, try mine." Shuo Fan took a bite but spat it out as soon as it touched his tongue. "Even poison is better." His words were sharp as he took Lei Yuting's box. "I still choose this one." Lei Yuting was smiling, while Luo Yunchang's eyes started tearing. "Wow, such a great smell." At this time Luo Yunhai shouted in surprise as he jumped into Shuo Fan's room. "Bro Shuo, you're out. And you are having such a feast. Why didn't you invite me? Go and eat your sister's cooking." Shuo Fan dissed him. Luo Yunhai complained, "Her skill isn't worth a dime. She doesn't know anything besides opening the kitchen door." Unable to stay there any longer, Luo Yunchang ran out with her lunchbox. But people could see the droplets she left behind on the floor. Was I wrong? Luo Yunhai was confused. Not at all. Shuo Fan gorged on Lei Yuting's cooking as he said, "But some people have low confidence." After finishing his meal, Shuo Fan informed the others before leaving. "Stay here as Hell Valley's people might still lurk around. I'm going to pay Veiled Dragon Pavilion a visit." Luo Yunhai and Captain Pang nodded then turned to Lei Yuting. Seeing her all flushed, Xiao Kui was even more excited. How great, young miss, Steward Zhuo is interested in you. Lei Yuting only smiled. At the same time, in the imperial city, in a magnificent office, two people sat side by side. One man was in his 40s, dressed in a white silken robe. He had a small hanging mustache that shook with his smile. The other man was in his 50s, with a somber complexion and wearing a dark cloak. His pair of large eyes were filled with grievance. With a cough, a shaky body appeared before the two. It was an old man dressed in a golden robe embroidered with 9 dragons. Your Majesty. The men rose up and bowed. The elder waved for them to sit. Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Hell Valley both are from the 7 noble houses, the pillars of the empire. What matter has made you request an audience with me? This elder was the emperor of Tianyu Empire. Your Majesty, Veiled Dragon Pavilion killed 2 of our Hell Valley's elders last month, breaking the 7 houses agreement. Your Majesty, please punish the Veiled Dragon Pavilion. The black-robed man complained. Sneering, the middle-aged man spoke. You Wanshan, you have some nerve complaining first. Your Hell Valley's elder infringed upon my Veiled Dragon Pavilion's domain. How are you going to explain it? Who is it that broke the 7 houses agreement first? One of my valley's disciple, Yu Quan, was killed in Windgaze City. Can't I send an elder to bring the matter to light? Yu Wanshan squinted. Long Yifi, you are just making an excuse to exact revenge for what happened 2 decades ago. 20 years ago, you trapped Elder Ju in Drifting Leaf City and ruined his mystic eye. You accused him of entering your domain and breaching the 7 houses agreement. I didn't object. This time, however, it is your elder who entered mine. And not just 1, but 4. Is this what you call investigation? Enough. The Emperor's cold shout came as his eyes flashed in anger. Both sides are in violation. This is my judgment. Veiled Dragon Pavilion shall withdraw from Windgaze City. It is no longer part of your domain. Hell Valley and Veiled Dragon Pavilion's people are never to set foot in this city ever again. Your Majesty. The two cupped their fists, but the Emperor flicked his sleeve. This matter is settled. Withdraw. I no longer want to hear anything about the 7 houses, nor about internal disputes. Understood. None of them was willing to accept this conclusion but retreated nonetheless. When they were gone, the Emperor's eyes flashed. For Hell Valley's people to enter Windgaze City, they must be privy to the 1,000-year-old secret. The Imperial City has always been a place of conflict, filled with the eyes and ears of every faction. This should be known to your Majesty. An aged voice replied from behind. The Emperor chuckled. It seems, the plan has begun. Pearls will always shine. Since the Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Grand Gate was but a few hundred steps away, Shuo Fan chose to walk. In front of the gate was a yellow palanquin with 4 peak chi condensation cultivators as carriers and 16 bone tempering cultivators surrounding it. A fat figure in yellow stood in front of the palanquin. You could barely make out his pin-sized eyes from his bulging cheeks. Shuo Fan shook his head. He'd seen his fair share of people, but this was his first encountering such a fatso. How can one get so fat? Shuo Fan resumed his gait, glancing at the fatty from time to time. His appearance was far from attractive, but his 7th chi condensation cultivation and the large number of guards was nothing to scoff. If the fatty was from Veiled Dragon Pavilion, he'd have gone in by now. Wait. Shuo Fan's entry was stopped by a sudden shout. Turning around, he caught the sight of Fatty's feet sinking into the ground with each step towards him. Shuo Fan's cheek started twitching. Do you need something? Are you from Veiled Dragon Pavilion? The fatty smiled. Shuo Fan was shocked by such a baffling appearance for a moment. I'm just a guest. Hey, that means you can also enter. The fatty showed a warm smile. Can I ask brothers help with a small matter? Please send word to young Miss Long Kue. She hasn't come out for a whole day and I had to sleep outside. This weird fatty is pursuing Long Kue. Shuo Fan wanted to laugh, but he couldn't, not when there were so many people around. To think that haughty Long Kue knows this fellow. All right, I will tell her right away. Shuo Fan struggled not to laugh as the fatty cupped his hands in gratitude. I'll leave it to brother. Shuo Fan hastened his pace in fear of laughing if he spent one more moment with this guy. It wasn't worth it offending a great faction for such a reason. He soon arrived at the meeting room and met Long Kue. Miss Kue, long time no see. How have you been? Great, until you showed up. Long Kue snorted. Shuo Fan didn't mind it. Where's Bro Ju? I want to speak with him. Out. Long Kue rolled her eyes. Shuo Fan read her face and found that she didn't lie. Since he didn't see Long Jie either, it meant that he must be with Long Ju on business. This would put a delay on the things he wanted to know. But he still had that fatty's message to deliver. To get that guy's gratitude and support, All I have to do is make this smug girl see him. What's the harm in passing the time while embarrassing this missy while I'm at it? Zhuo Fan showed a wide grin. What's with you? Long Kuei frowned. Oh, nothing. There's a rich handsome guy outside who wants to talk to you. Hurry up and see him before he's gone. Hey, Miss Long, who's he? Zhuo Fan elbowed her with raised eyebrows. Long Kuei knew Zhuo Fan was making fun of her and got angry. Ignoring him, she walked to the gates with Zhuo Fan laughing behind her. Damn fatty, haven't I rejected your marriage proposal already? What are you still doing here? The fatty's smile fell. Sister Long Kuei, that happened when I was 10. Now I'm 20. Don't you feel anything after I proposed 1,000 times these past 10 years? Zhuo Fan butted in at this point, patting the fatty's shoulder as he looked at Long Kuei. Miss Long Kuei, such tender and strong love are rare these days. My dear friend is so smitten by you that he even slept outside waiting for you. The last words almost made Zhuo Fan burst in laughter. The fatty was so touched that the thick sarcasm flew right past him. Long Kuei saw them working in unison, one explaining while the other agreeing, and felt her anger peaking. But for some reason, she changed to a charming smile. Even Zhuo Fan blanked out from seeing her smile like this for the first time. And there was no need to mention the drooling fatty. Long Kuei felt sick inside but still maintained her composure. Brother Tsong, you've always treated me so well ever since we were little, but my heart belongs to another. Who's the punk? The fatty's face changed and his eyes spat fire. Zhuo Fan thought, she isn't planning on dragging me into this, is she? Yet Long Kuei turned to him with an enigmatic smile. Oh, hell. Zhuo Fan didn't know which faction the fatty belonged to, but one thing was clear, he wasn't to be provoked. Zhuo Fan already had Hell Valley as his enemy, and messing with another faction just as strong, if not stronger, then even Demonic Emperor would have a hard time turning disaster into an opportunity. I was wondering why you are able to enter Veiled Dragon Pavilion like you own the place. It was because you and Long Kuei are. The fatty grabbed Zhuo Fan's collar and glared. Zhuo Fan denied, brother, it's all just a misunderstanding. Sister Kuei, what do you not like about me? Does this punk have something that I don't? Zhuo Fan almost spat blood, watching the fatty in a daze. Brother, now I know why you proposed 1,000 times. Even Long Kuei was silently rolling her eyes. Brother Tsong, there must be some other reason for you to be here. You do not have the luxury of leaving the imperial capital as you wish. Take care of your matters and stop wasting time. That is out of the question. You are my future wife. I even applied for this task just to see you. Yet. Then the fatty glared at Zhuo Fan. Let's duel. He pointed at Zhuo Fan's nose as he raged. We will duel today to settle Sister Kuei's groom. Zhuo Fan took a closer look at the fatty, secretly admiring him. This kid is the first who didn't shout out his glorious clan's name before me. Just from this, Zhuo Fan liked him. Hearing the fatty request a duel, one of his guards stepped forward. Young master, your body is too precious to participate in duels. It's best if you let me handle him. Quiet. The fatty interrupted the guard. It is I who want to marry Sister Kuei. My honor and dignity as a man are on the line. If you fight, I'll be mocked forever and Sister Kuei will despise me even more. I will never ever approve of you. Long Kuei rolled her eyes. Zhuo Fan agreed with a grin. Well said, I accept. However, all your guards are stronger than me and I can't even a single hit from them if they interfere. If I say we will duel, then it will be one-on-one. My word is gold. You don't believe me? The fatty was even angrier now. Zhuo Fan shook his head. I do believe you. But if I defeat you, can they hold themselves from not jumping in? At that point, even if you order them not to, it won't do much good. It was unknown if the fatty was pondering or fuming since his eyes disappeared when he squinted. But then he barked at the guards. All of you stay put. If anyone has the nerve to move, I'll kill him. Then he turned to Zhuo Fan. Pick a location where we won't be disturbed. Zhuo Fan smiled while Long Kuei frowned and blocked him. You truly intend to fight? If he gets hurt, even Veiled Dragon Pavilion can't help you. He just nodded. This fatty isn't bad. Long Kuei was stunned. When the fatty saw them stick together, his heart was aflame from rage. Panting with each word, he declared, Punk, you'll see. I will mop the floor with you. Zhuo Fan smiled, not minding it in the least. Zhuo Fan took the fatty to a remote place in the woods. Since Long Kuei was afraid of mishaps, she also went along, but Zhuo Fan already had Blood Infant keep an eye out. Zhuo Fan clapped. Fatty, I praise you for not using the guards. I am always true to my word. This is related to me and Sister Kuei's happy marriage. I will have to beat you, pesky puck, so thorough you can't contest my victory. Or who knows what excuse you'll use later to pester Sister Kuei. The fatty jutted out his chin. Smiling, Zhuo Fan showed his vicious side. Aren't you worried I laid an ambush? The fatty frowned. His pin-sized eyes scoured his surroundings as he roared. I am willing to venture alone against any adversity, but if you think Sister Kuei will look kindly to such a despicable punk, think again. No matter what you have in store, I will never lose. Enough with the heroism. Kid, I like you. It's time we get this duel started. Zhuo Fan smiled. Yet even before he finished, a punch came his way. Zhuo Fan rushed to dodge, but he was too late to react. His body flew and his right cheek was now red and swollen. Hey Fatso, I thought you were an honorable man. Zhuo Fan snapped at the nonchalant fatty who replied, didn't you just give start to the duel? All is fair in love and war. Zhuo Fan took a long look at him and secretly nodded. This kid is more cunning than he lets on, yet he conducts himself with honor. He is as honest as old Pang, but that is where the similarities end. A demonic cultivator would use any means to reach his goal. This fatty, who bent the limits of morality, was more to Zhuo Fan's liking. Idiot. Scared already? With this little power, how could you face me? Haha, you're right. Zhuo Fan cackled, pointed at Long Kuei. Fatty, look, Long Kuei is undressing. The fatty could spot a lie when he heard one, but he still bought it this time and turned towards Long Kuei's direction. Bam! Zhuo Fan used this chance to kick the fatty into the air. Bastard! Long Kuei fumed at the sideline with a red face, yet the culprit didn't mind it in the least when her glare focused on him. Wretched punk, you dared sully Sister Kuei's honor. I will show you. The fatty wobbled as he got to his feet, but his eyes burned hotter than ever. Zhuo Fan dissed him. I was just messing around, yet you looked anyway. Weren't you also thinking something shameful about our young Miss Long? The fatty gasped. Never had he heard this kind of counter before. Zhuo Fan might have disrespected Long Kuei, but didn't he himself sully his goddess by imagining something inappropriate? If so, did he have the right to blame Zhuo Fan? Fatty's resentment was gone just like that, and he even felt ashamed. But once he imagined Long Kuei changing clothes, his face went beet red. His small eyes were perfect in hiding his secret stare over Long Kuei's enticing figure, but she found him out nonetheless and stared him down with killing intent. When a shiver crawled up his spine, the fatty focused on the fight. Punk, I will let this matter slide. Time to get serious. The fatty darted towards Zhuo Fan like a raging bull, cracking each and every stone he set his foot on. High mortal ranked martial art, mountain-shaking punch. The fatty darted towards Zhuo Fan like a raging bull, cracking each and every stone he set his foot on. Better dodge. But if you do, admit your loss. Grinning, Zhuo Fan extended a red palm, not intimidated in the least. The fatty raved, damn punk, this will be your funeral. I am at the 7th layer of chi condensation and using a high-ranked martial art. This is not a move which a 5th layer chi condensation punk can withstand. If you treasure your life, dodge. But Zhuo Fan didn't budge. The fatty didn't wish for the worst outcome and wanted to hold back some of his power, but it was too late now. His flabby body was already upon Zhuo Fan. The fatty, however, had his golden light scattered thanks to the red glow and was sent flying. He hit the ground in a daze, and even as he got up, he still couldn't shake his astonishment. How can this be? I am clearly stronger, so why was I the one who got pushed back? He needed a long time to recover from the shock. Long Kuei scoffed. She didn't like Zhuo Fan one bit, but that didn't stop her from admiring his strength and ability. After all, he was the first on the continent to have killed 2 profound heaven expert while being a chi condensation cultivator. Arriving next to Fatty, Zhuo Fan offered his hand with a smile. Fatty, I know you went easy on me. The fatty sighed. A loss is a loss. Using all my power against someone weaker is the same as losing. I am an upright man. This is your win. Zhuo Fan turned serious. You might take it as being upright, but I see it as kindness. The fatty looked closer at Zhuo Fan. He was amazed this man found out his intention in that split second. I see now why Sister Kuei likes you. The fatty praised him and took Zhuo Fan's hand. He went to Long Kuei and sighed. Sister Kuei, you've found a great man. This punk will turn into a monster one day. The fatty felt dejected, but a sudden sound broke the silence. Zhuo Fan squinted his eyes and pushed the fatty to the ground. A green light passed above them the next second, cutting all the trees in its path. The fatty looked up at Zhuo Fan with gratitude. Brother, thank you for saving me. I never thought that my love rival will become my savior. It's too early for thanks. Here they come. Zhuo Fan frowned as he helped the fatty up. Long Kuei also ran next to them. A dozen men appeared around the 3 of them the next moment, each giving off the energy of a bone-tempering expert. What now? Long Kuei's expression was grave as she looked at Zhuo Fan. With the Veiled Dragon Pavilion being even farther than the fatty's guards, the only one she could turn for help was the guy she disliked the most. But he was also the one most likely to pull off a miracle. The fatty strode out from between the two with confidence. "It's me you're after. Let them go. As a member of the imperial family, you sure have the air of a king. But too bad we can't leave any witnesses." A man stood out from the group. He was their leader. The fatty was filled with hatred. Suddenly, Zhuo Fan kicked the fatty with a snicker. "This fatty is under my care. If you want to kill him, you'll have to go through me first. A mere chi condensation insect wants to act tough. Since they'll all die anyway, let's start with him. It's best we kill the fatty first and complete the mission." It was hard enough finding this opportunity after waiting for so long. "We can't let it go to waste." As they were rambling on, the fatty whispered to Zhuo Fan, "Brother, they're after me. I will run towards east while you take Sister Kuei back to Veiled Dragon Pavilion." Zhuo Fan shook his head. "With your speed, you won't even last 1 second. What other choice do we have?" asked the fatty flustered. Zhuo Fan hardened his tone and said, "Slaughter them all." He took a step and reached their leader as Savage Moon flashed in his hand. Demonic treasure. The leader was shocked and wanted to dodge, but a red light entered his body and froze his movements. With a silver flash, a head trailed the sky followed by a fountain of blood. Only Zhuo Fan stood in the pool of blood with cruel eyes. For the first time in Fatty's life, his eyes bulged out from his chubby face, becoming larger than ever. Everyone watched slack-jawed at the unfolding event. No one there could have imagined a chi condensation kid blindsiding them, who were bone-tempering experts, and even killing one in a single hit. "Kill the punk first." With a sudden shout, the men charged at Zhuo Fan together. They were now of one mind, no longer of a different opinion. They had to kill this dreadful and sinister punk first. If they were to leave him for later, they were sure they'd have to pay a steep price, even if they outnumbered him. Smiling wryly, Zhuo Fan snickered, "I wouldn't have it any other way." The next moment, he jumped at the first enemy. When the silver light flashed again, he was so fast that none of the killers had time to react before Zhuo Fan felled another. Such horrifying speed coupled with the sharp edge of the Savage Moon soaked the backs of the killers in a cold sweat. "As you dared to come look for trouble in my domain," Zhuo Fan squinted at each man around him, and trailed a finger across his neck as his eyes turned red. "Your lives are forfeited." At that moment, all of them paled and stepped back. The fear they felt from his eyes mounted the dread they already had. Their roles began to blur as it became unclear who was the victim and who was the killer. Seeing that they couldn't contend with Zhuo Fan individually, a killer shouted, "Don't be afraid, let's attack together. He's just a chi condensation punk relying on a third-grade demonic treasure. If we surround him, he's done for." With a cry, the killers jumped at Zhuo Fan, closing the net on him. Sneering, Zhuo Fan rushed forward without fear. The fatty watched Zhuo Fan's domineering gaze while being shell-shocked. Then, he was swept by a sudden familiar feeling, the imposing and grand feeling he felt only from his father. But what he felt from Zhuo Fan was far more assertive. As if all who dared resist this man would find themselves dead beyond a shred of a doubt. When Zhuo Fan finally stopped, Savage Moon in his hand was dripping blood. The dry earth around him had become a wide pool of blood. Not sparing him a glance, Zhuo Fan asked coldly, "Who sent you?" Zhuo Fan's eyes didn't reflect an ounce of pity towards any living creature in this world, only coldness. The killer looked around to see his dead brothers and fear swept his heart. He didn't know where to begin describing the savagery and cruelty of this youth before him. This youth was, in all sense of the word, a demon. But a sudden whistling sound was heard and the killer's eyes lost its light. Zhuo Fan drew a cold breath. His bottomless and cold eyes now showed a ripple of panic. Killing with intent. A radiant stage expert. A radiant stage expert was able to kill with divine intent alone. This was an enemy Zhuo Fan wouldn't be able to defeat even with Blood Infant and Savage Moon. An icy shiver traveled down his spine as Zhuo Fan turned more and more serious. The whistle stopped suddenly and a pair of steps echoed. Zhuo Fan and the other two forgot to breathe. Their eyes were fixed towards the sound's location. But when the person came out into the open, the fatty was stunned for a second before shouting, "Teacher, how come you're here?" Long Kuei cried with joy, "Senior Fang, what brought you here?" Zhuo Fan saw the two recognizing the new entrant and began sizing him up. The jade flute shocked Zhuo Fan. He remembered something and asked, "Are you one of the 5 divine dragons, the guardians of the imperial family, jade flute divine sword, Fang Qiubai?" Zhuo Fan heard Long Ju mention that even if the imperial family could no longer control the 7 houses, they could still persevere, all thanks to the 5 divine dragons. Each was a peak radiant stage expert whom none of the 7 houses would dare mess with. Among them, there was a man known as the First Divine Sword, and he was Fang Qiubai, Jade Flute Divine Sword. One time, he single-handedly defeated 5 radiant stage experts with a sword strike, forcing the 7 houses to forget about testing him while also spreading his name to the 4 corners of the world. The man raised an eyebrow and watched Shuofan with a profound look before nodding. With laughter, Long Ju appeared before everyone. Wasn't I right? This kid has sharp eyes. I only mentioned you once and he already recognized you. Uncle Ju. Long Kuei was overjoyed as she ran to him. When did you and Senior Fang arrive? Why didn't you come out sooner? Haha, we've been here since Brother Zhuo and the 3rd Prince's duel. Long Ju turned to Zhuofan. Brother Zhuo, you're quite something to keep a straight face against a dozen bone-tempering experts. When I was your age, I certainly lacked the courage you showed today. I truly admire you. Long Kuei pouted while casting a side glance towards Zhuofan. Seeing Zhuofan in action had her convinced, but admitting it was a whole not her matter. Master, with you 2 seniors here, why didn't you act? You almost worried your student to death. Fatty clapped his fat chest. It mattered little what happened to me, but what if Sister Kuei got hurt and miss a good show? Fang Qiubai laughed, eyeing the calm and collected Zhuofan. Moreover, I've never seen such a marvelous display before. Senior, you're too kind. Zhuofan cupped his hands, but his face was stone cold. I'm only curious, why did Senior kill the last one? Is it? Fang Qiubai squinted and his smile turned fake as he spoke in a frosty tone. Youngster, you are exceptionally sharp, but your strength might turn this advantage into a flaw. Zhuofan picked up on Fang Qiubai's warning. He did not wield enough power to poke his nose in their conflict. The man had silenced the killer to protect him. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuofan laughed and cupped his hands. Junior, thanks for Senior's lesson. Junior has already forgotten this encounter. Fang Qiubai took one more long look at him and his admiration grew. You're not only smart but also know when to retreat. How rare. What a surprise, finding someone like you in the mortal world yet outside the 7 houses. If you weren't a demonic cultivator, something I am unsuited with, I would have wanted to teach you for 2 years and make your future limitless. Long Kuei and Fatty were shocked. Outsiders may not know who Fang Qiubai was, but the 7 houses were crystal clear on his character. Who among the heads of the 7 houses didn't want to have their child under his tutelage? But this old man was stubborn as a mule, not giving them any attention. Even if the emperor were to request him on behalf of his sons, he'd act no differently. He'd been teaching the Fatty for 3 years because Fang Qiubai appreciated his strong will, yet the Fatty barely learned a few moves. But it wasn't enough to accept him as a disciple. Yet the first time he laid eyes on Zhuofan, Fang Qiubai took the initiative to invite him. If the two had walked the same cultivation path, Zhuofan would have been Divine Sword's first disciple. Wherever he'd go, if any 7 houses' disciples saw him, they'd have to bow down to him. But Zhuofan shook his head at this and even sneered. Forget about Fang Qiubai not accepting him because of cultivation path difference. Even if he could be accepted, he'd still refuse. As a demonic emperor, the only one worthy of him calling master was an emperor stage expert. Fang Qiubai was reluctant to let Zhuofan pass by him, but, in the end, he took Fatty and left. Long Ju, 3rd Prince, still has a task to complete, so I'm taking him with me. Fang Qiubai and Fatty disappeared the moment he finished. Wait. Fatty still wanted to say something to Long Kuei and Zhuofan, but it was too late. 1 second his anxious face was there, and the next it was gone. So fast. Zhuofan was shocked. Brother Zhuo. Long Ju walked to Zhuofan with a solemn face. Come with me to Veiled Dragon Pavilion, there's something I have for you. Smiling wryly, Zhuofan nodded. He had anticipated this.